So I will talk about the multi-wavelength support for gravitational wave candidate because I'm an astronomer, observation astronomer, so that will my talk will focus more on the observation part. And during the morning, we have several talks to talk about the possible candidate for gravitational waves. So, for example, the merger of black holes, neutron stars, and we also expect to have, if it is very optimistic, if we are very optimistic, then we may expect to have several hundred events per year. Or in the worst case scenario, we are maybe talking about a couple of events per year. My point is that in the future, detecting gravitational wave is not a dream. We should be able to detect them. The fact is that how we can identify and understand the nature. So in this prospect, we have to rely on multi-wavelength observations. So there are several things that we can learn by combining both gravitational wave and the electromagnetic wave together. So from gravitational wave, we can understand, for example, the dynamics of the system. For example, how the binary system merge together and what type of system. So we may know about the progenitor, the nature of progenitor, whether it's a neutron star, black hole, white dwarf, or any other very strange complex objects. And also it's a very good probe for the central engine, because for gravitational wave as well as neutrinos, it's a direct probe for the central engines. We know about what's happening at the center. On the other hand, for the electromagnetic wave, we have several important things. The first most important thing is localizations, because when we can localize the gravitational wave source, then we can study a lot of things. So for example, we can look for the physical origins of the candidate, okay, and also the environment. The environment is important in the sense that we will know, for example, the stellar population, the age, or is there gas surrounding the system. It will provide us very important information about the nature. Okay, and also the host. For example, the host galaxies, if it is extragalactic source. So, for example, if you discover some short gamma ray burst, okay, in a galaxy, then we can study what type of galaxy it is. At the same time, we can also look for the distance, okay, by using method from other wavelength. We can measure this distance to the source, which is also a very important thing. And in astrophysics, distance is the most important thing. And also for several important discoveries, distance is always an argument. So they will argue against whether it's a nearby objects or distant objects. Okay, I expect that in the future, gravitational wave will also go into this debate. Okay. And also by looking at both regime, we can increase our confidence for a gravitational wave detections. So especially for some marginal detections, by combining the information at other wavelength, we will know more. But the problem is how the trigger or how we can know the nature of a gravitational wave event, okay, or the nature of the candidate. So there are two ways. Okay, one is that we just look at the sky with gravitational wave detectors, and then we detect something, okay, some candidate, and then we trigger the electromagnetic wave observations at other wavelengths. For example, in optical, in high energy, in radio. Okay, the requirement is that we have, in principle, we have the response must be very, very quick. Okay, because the event may be very, very short. So, for example, short gamma ray burst is many people believe that is due to the merger of two neutron stars. So it's a good candidate, and I also believe that it's one of the primary candidates for the first gravitational wave detections. In the electromagnetic wave spectrum, short gamma ray burst is really, by the name you will know that it's short. So we have to respond to this observation very, very quickly. Okay, and that's why if we have something in the far field wave detectors, we need, for example, send the physicians to the test group and other wavelength as soon as possible, probably within a minute, to trigger the other observations. On the other hand, we can also do something the other way around, is that we have some target search for gravitational wave. So for example, some pulsar, some binary neutron star system, or some other potential candidate, and we look for the gravitational wave coming from these targets. Okay. Now, of course, in this case, it's not very time critical, but we need coordination among all the observatories, okay, to share the information. And maybe we also need to have a list of candidates how we look for the gravitational wave. But no matter what, one of the major concerns in gravitational wave detection is the localizations. So Kajita-san showed us one of the plot in the morning about the positional uncertainty for gravitational wave detectors. And this plot is by combining the LIGO and also the Kawa observations. Okay, and then you can see all these red ellipses here are the positional uncertainties. Okay, so depending on the positions, okay, some of them are actually pretty large. Some maybe it looks very small, but I will show you another plot that is actually not that small. Okay, so galactic center is around here. So it seems that the location is not that bad, but the high density of the galactic center is actually a problem. So even if the uncertainty is 1 or 2 square degrees, it's already a problem. So let me just show you another plot to compare the improvement of uncertainty, positional uncertainty by active cargo in the gravitational wave network. Okay, so this is the curve for only the LIGO and Virgo. Okay, so if you take a look of, for example, the 50th percentile, which is around here, in this case, the worst case scenario can up to 40 square degrees. 40 degrees in the sky is a very large region, and how do you know which one is a target? So by adding one more, so by adding cargo to the systems, it substantially improves the accuracy. So we can also compare the 50 percentile. So we are talking about roughly 10 square degrees. So we improve quite a lot. Okay, but if you are optical astronomer, 10 square degrees is a large region, and it is very, very difficult. Even for us, it's very difficult to identify the correct counterpart. I will show you one case study, then you will know what I mean. So, but in any case, we are talking about a large to search for the electromagnetic wave counterpart in a large area circle. Okay, so we actually need a survey. So no matter in optical, in radio, or in high energy, we need a survey or an all-sky instruments to look at the skies so that we know we can cover a large area to look for a candidate within these uncertainties. So in a moment, I will show you a couple of projects that Taiwan is now participating to look for to do some research using some all-sky survey instruments. Although there are actually a lot, but in this talk I will just focus on a couple of them. So the first one is about using the optical survey. So we use optical telescope to look for the whole sky, and we will see if there's an interesting thing happening. So one of the optical survey that we are working on is called Polymer Transient Factory, or PTF. Okay, so it is a very small telescope, a 1.2 meter telescope in Polymer observatories, but it has a very wide field of view camera, 7 square degrees. So it's a very, very pretty large coverage. It's not a very deep survey. It's about 20 first magnitude stars. Okay, but basically it provides a survey for the whole sky in the past 5 years or so. And I think in the next year or in 1 or 2 years, we are now upgrading the system to what we call the CTF, Swiss Key Transient Factories. So basically, we use the same telescope, but we replace the camera. So this is the plot for the whole system. The camera is just in the middle here. So in this upgrade survey, we are talking about, well, we're using the same telescope, but the field of view, we are talking about 47 square degrees. So it's much larger regions. Okay, so in this case, we basically can survey the whole sky very easily. And in this survey, even for the PTF, we basically discover supernova every day, at least 5 to 10 supernova every day. Okay, so we will expect that with the ZDF, we will increase the number quite a lot. So these, by adding the large field, it will be a very good survey to compare with gravitational wave detection. So once we have the detections, we can just look at the survey data to see if there's any transients in the sky. Okay, so basically they do everything automatically. So it's a robotic telescope. Every night, once they finish the observations, they have the automatic pipeline to pick up all the transients. So basically, the human interaction is not, well, we will check the image by human eyes, but basically we pick up all the candidates automatically with software. Okay. So this is an optical, but of course, PTF or CTF is not the only one. There are several similar surveys around the world, okay, providing important data. The other directions is to search for the transient or the candidates from high energy. Okay, because we will also expect, for example, the binary neutron star system or binary black hole system, they will emit high energy emissions. So high energy observatory seems to be also a good way to do that. Among them, well, there are several working observatories now in the skies. Astro Edge will be launched in a month or so. Among these observatories, 2 of them are pretty useful for gravitational wave observations. One is called the Fermi, the other is called SWIFT. Okay. Fermi is a gamma ray observatory. Okay. And the nice thing for Fermi is that it's an all-sky survey instruments. It look for the whole sky every 3 hours. So basically, continue keeping updating the database. So in principle, if there's a very bright gamma ray source associated with gravitational wave event, we can pick it up from the Fermi data. And the other nice thing is that all the Fermi data are free. If you have an internet connection, then you can use the data. So it's good for everyone. The other sector is called SWIFT. SWIFT, the major objective of SWIFT is to detect gamma ray burst. And as we know that short gamma ray burst is one of the favorite candidates for gravitational wave. And therefore, SWIFT should be able to provide very important information, especially that it has a very large field of view to detect gamma ray burst, and the response time to report the telescope is very quick. We are talking about within a minute, and then it will provide X-ray and also optical information of the gamma ray burst. And also, all the data are free. So what about other all-sky survey monitoring we have? So for example, MAXI in International Space Stations, it has an all-sky monitoring instruments. However, the sensitivity is not that high. Or the sensitivity is not that good. So only for very, very bright source we can detect with these detectors. Okay, but anyway, it's still a good thing to go for, and I think they are now proposing an even more wide field instruments to replace MAXI in the futures. And about a month ago, India launched their own high-energy observatories called the AstroSat. They also have an all-sky survey instrument, but they're also a very small one. The sensitivity probably very similar to MAXIS, so unless the source is very, very bright, otherwise it's difficult to pick it up. But still, it's these data are good for us to check for the candidate. In the next few years, we may be able to use to observing in TeV energies. Okay, so especially the CTA project that is now planning. And the nice thing is that the CTA is that it also covers a wide field of view in the sky, so that we can pick up look at the sky, a large part of the sky to pick up the candidate. And also for some assorted event, we may also expect to see some very high energy emissions, and the TeV energy range is very good for us. And another thing about the reason I talk about CTA is that the PI of the CTA, Tashima-san, also invited me to join the CTA Japan. So hopefully we can also find some students, postdocs to work with them to improve their data analysis and instrumentation as well. So here I present you a case study about gravitational wave, possible gravitational wave candidate. Okay, and probably this is the only paper that I'm involved in this gravitational wave. This is related to a gamma ray burst-like event. It's basically this is the number for the name for the gamma ray burst, but it's not actually. Well, we don't know whether it's a gamma ray burst. Okay, but it looks like a short gamma ray burst. And the interesting thing is that it's very close to the M31, the Andromeda galaxies M31. So this is the initial error circle for the gamma ray detectors. It's pretty large, well, because it's not, well, it is picked up by some other instruments, which is the resolution is not very good. So we are talking about 2 square degrees roughly in this area. And because it's close to M31, so some people suggest that maybe this is a gamma ray burst, a short gamma ray burst in M31. Okay, so at that time, LIGO is also in operations, and they checked the data, okay, and they didn't find anything. Okay, and they also do some simulations, and then if there is a short gamma ray burst at a distance of M31, which is pretty nearby, only about 800 kiloparsec, LIGO should detect the event, but they didn't. So basically, the LIGO non-detection can rule out a short gamma ray burst in M31. So we have to consider other possibility. So we look at other multi-wavelength data. So at the background is the UV data, and then you can see some circles, some in different colors on the images. They are the position of some X-ray sources. Okay, so you can see that even with this small area, you can see that in the UV band, there are many different stars in the background, and also there are so many X-ray sources in the image as well. So that's why even for a small, relatively small area, to identify the correct counterpart is already very difficult. And then we work on the X-ray data and to see if there's any transients or any strange event in these regions, and we didn't find anything spectrals. So basically, from this, we didn't find anything related to this gamma ray burst-like event. It may be a gamma ray burst in the background, or some people suggest that maybe a magneta at M31. Okay, but anyway, these are just some suggestions, but this just provide you some information that is not easy to identify a correct counterpart for a gravitational event, even for such a large area in the skies. Okay, so I may have just 2 minutes. I have another case study too. Okay, this is a neutrino event. So the reason I bring up is that neutrinos, in terms of the identifications, is also very similar to gravitational wave. So this is an event in September. So entire neutrinos, and then someone proposed that they may be associated with an X-ray source. Okay, so it seems to be very excited. And then other people just look at this X-ray source with other telescopes, and then basically they can rule out that it's associated with neutrino. Okay. And then they also didn't find anything very special at other wavelengths. But at the same time, I also look at the X-ray data, and I in fact find some, with just 2 sigma enhancement in the direction of the gamma cluster. Okay, so at that time, I thought that it might be related to the neutrino event. But I also, at the same time, this is not really a very significant event, so I actually didn't report the result. Okay, but you can see that it's actually not easy. So even for this event, the error circle is about, I think it's less than 30 arc minutes. Okay. So it's already not easy to find out the correct counterpart. So if we expand the error circle to 10 square degree, it will be a very difficult task to identify the correct counterpart. So I will just stop here and take questions.
The date on September 3rd?
September 3rd, I'm not sure, because this is the first one. The first report is on September 3rd, so probably a few days earlier or...
So if there's a gravitational wave radiation from this event, it should be ahead of the X-ray or...
Yes.
Ahead of?
Yes. More questions?
So in case of gravitational wave detection, like a typical one, for example, I don't know, typical neutron star merger at a typical distance, then what kind of flux and observations are we expecting from optical to?
From optical.
If
optical,
in order.
Well, then it can be a
Short
shock.
GRB.
So there's a GRB business. So basically, if there's a short gamma wave burst, then of course we will see the gamma waves lasting from a few seconds to maybe 2 minutes for short gamma wave burst. And then we have X-ray and the optical afterglow, so that we can see the X-ray and optical emissions. But for this afterglow, it may last longer.
So these are detectable with the surveys you mentioned?
If it is a short gamma wave burst, if you are related to get a gravitational wave, I think for Cabra or LIGO, they are talking about 100 megaparsec. It's a very nearby sources. So suppose there's a nearby short gamma wave burst, I'm sure that we can easily detect them.
Yeah, I think many telescopes will turn to that direction. I mean,
Yeah.
if in gamma ray band there's a report, and through GCN, then optical, X-ray, and even radio telescope will also point to that direction. If that's such a bright event, right?
Yeah, 100 megaparsec is nearby.
So in case of the detection in gravitational wave, it might be easier to identify the counterpart.
If it's this related short gamma wave burst, I would say yes. So that's why I will bet on short gamma wave burst.
Well, that depends if the gravitational wave is consistent with those neutron star merger models.
Yeah.
Then,
But I mean,
if it is not, then great.
This way is easier, right? The gravitational wave to EM is easier than from EM to CW. Right?
the gamma ray burst might be directional and pointing at a specific angle. So you might have a detecting gravitational wave, but no
GRB.
electromagnetic. There's
Yeah.
no electromagnetic detection here.
Mhm.
So people believe that's it's beaming effect there. So we are not sure.
Well, but that means we have a gravitational wave detection, but no GRB. So we will not talk about GRB, right? I mean,
You mean the viewing angle is almost face on?
No, it's people believe that because it's a high energy, very high energy event, a gamma ray burst is very strong. If it's isotropic, that would be even more stronger. So people believe that it's a beaming. So we just happen to be in the beam to see that burst.
What I wanted to say that if you observe a binary coalescence of edge on, then we can observe only plus mode. Then depending on the angle, if coincidentally x and y axis could be oscillate at the same rate, it's a probability issue. However, for short gamma burst, you have to observe it entirely face on. Then it means cross and cross mode also. Both modes exist. So we have to detect.
The difference of gravitational strength in face on and edge on is only factor 2.
Factor, but polarization. So
yes, polarization.
If the polarization angle is coincidentally 45 degrees for x and y,
Sure.
then we won't be detected.
Then-
However, such possibility can be excluded because we observe in electromagnetic way. So we must be observing it almost face on. Then both plus and cross modes should exist. Then
Yes.
we should detect gravitational wave.
Even edge on, so GW will detect.
Yes,
So-
only plus mode.
Yeah, but so it will degenerate. It's detect on the detector, so plus and cross mode. So of course, so if the several gravitational detectors detect simultaneously, we can resolve
Yes.
the polarization, and so we suspect the inclination angle.
If there are more than one detector,
Yes,
then
sure.
angry.
That's
But
right.
if only there's only one, depending on the polarization angle probability, the plus mode only.
Yes.
Only, if almost edge on, then only plus mode should
Yes.
come to us.
Yes.
Then depending on the angle probability,
Yes.
x and y axis may oscillate in the same way. Then in that sense we cannot detect. But if there are more than one detector, then the angle should be different. So we have to detect at least.
So in that case, the two line combination is almost aligned. So if we employ Bilgo and Kagura, so their direction is rotating relatively. So one of the polarization components should be detected on one detector. So in generally, so if the face on was if the scenario neutral binary is GRP, short GRP presenter, so the face on case, so we can detect hard gamma ray and gravitational wave,
Yes, yes.
but not face on, so we should expect more softer X-ray and luminous optical part can be expected.
However, we detect gamma ray first.
Yes.
So it means we are almost face on.
Yes, yes.
So therefore, both plus and cross
Then-
function. Therefore, we should detect.
Yes,
Yes,
we
yes,
should
yes.
detect.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so
That's what I want.
maybe there is a question about how luminous is the optical part. It did say that in case of 200 megaparsec away, so maybe optical luminous at 21 or 23 degree. I don't remember.
You mean magnitude?
The magnitude, no, not the magnitude, 22 or 23, 200 megaparsec. It's not impossible, maybe possible, but paint. So we should integrate. So that's a problem. So because that's a gravitational wave cannot specify in the arc minutes or very small region. So the possible scenario is so GW predicts 10 square degree. X-ray will close up more 1 degree or 0.1 degree square. Then that optical path can survey the post-galaxy. That is a kind of possible scenario.
Our mentioned tricky field of view is 47
Yes,
square
but
degrees.
so also the several detectors with several square degree, for example, in Japan, similar things. But the error region is not circled by gravitational waves, very this kind of area. So it is hard to cover with single detectors. So telescope has a square or a circle survey field of view, but the error region of gravitational wave is spread around the near point. So they should patch the very long guide areas.
Okay, so we